Hey guys, today I'm going to review for you these Promark Drumsticks. These are 5As. I picked up 6 pairs of sticks so I could have a decent sample set. I'm going to bring these upstairs. I'm going to roll them around on a table so we can see how flat they are. I'm going to play on them for a while, see how long of a life we get out of them before they start to chip. And I'll play them on the drum set too so you can hear how the sticks sound on the ride. Before we get to that though, I do want to talk about the specs on these sticks a little bit. So again, these are from Promark, which is a Diodario company. These are 5A wood tips. They are the American hickory style stick as opposed to the natural hickory, which is a different type of stick that Promark makes. Some of the specs are pretty standard. So they're 16 inches in length, medium taper, lacquer finish, that's all standard. The diameter on the stick is 0.551 inches, which is a little bit on the smaller side. I think it places it a bit closer to what you would see with a Vic Firth stick. Smaller than what you would see from a Los Cabos stick or from a Los Angeles style Vater stick. So a little bit on the smaller side. One of the things that makes these sticks unique compared to all the brands that I just mentioned is the style tip. So as you can see, the tip is an oval shape as opposed to, say, an acorn shape, which is more standard for 5A style sticks. So I'm going to bring all 6 pairs of these sticks upstairs now. I'm going to roll them around on the table and we can see how straight they are. Okay, so let's start rolling the sticks around, see how straight they are. So we're going to call this pair number 1. So these seem pretty straight. There might be a slight, ever so slight bow on this back one here, but it's not too bad. They're actually pretty good. All right, so pair number 2. So this stick seems like it has a little bit more of a bow. It's not too bad, but I can certainly hear the motion. Both have a slight bow, maybe about the same amount of bowing to it, but they're still actually pretty good. So we'll call this is pair 3. So I'd say these are closer to pair number 1. They have maybe a little bit less of a bow to them. This one right here, I can feel it's just ever so slight amount of motion, but again, it's not too bad. So pair 4. So this one seems pretty good. This one seems like it might have more of a bow. Not too bad though. Pair 5. So this one seems like, I think this has the most motion I've seen so far. Yeah, this definitely, I can walk the stick back and forth if I do this. This one still has a little bit of a bow. I can see if there's a little bit of motion, like on this part of the stick when I'm rolling it. It's not as bad as this one though. But I can feel there's a little bit of motion back and forth, but not as much as this one. So this is probably the pair 5 is, I would say, the worst of the group. So this is the last pair. This is pair 6. That one's pretty good. This one might have a little bit of motion to it, but not too bad. So all in all, I think, let's see, what were they? I numbered these in advance. So I guess 1 and 3 were actually really good. And then I think it was, looks like 2 and 4 were still pretty good. I would, a slight amount of bowing is kind of to be expected because it being wood. So those aren't too bad either. 6, not too bad either. 5 was the only one that I thought, was starting to get a little bit uneven. Though I will say that I've done 2 reviews of the Los Cabos sticks in the past, and on the whole, these are significantly straighter than those sticks. So I'm going to start playing on one of these pairs of sticks now to see how long it takes until they chip. So I finally have a pretty good sized chip on this right stick. This took about 23 hours to do, which I think is actually pretty good. The chip started to form a little bit before that. I could see it was getting ready to peel off. That was probably maybe around the 18 or 19 hour mark, but it took a little bit of time before it finally came off. Like I said, 23 hours seems pretty good. It's a lot better than what I was seeing on the Los Cabos sticks. I don't know if this is typical for the Promarks, but I thought that these handled things pretty well. I should note that the tips on these sticks are actually pretty massive. They're a lot bigger than what I've seen on the Los Cabos and on the Vater Los Angeles sticks. So I'm going to switch over to a new pair of sticks now, and I'm going to play on the hi-hat and on the rise so you can hear how they sound. So what's my overall thoughts on these sticks? I thought they were actually manufactured really well. They were really straight. There weren't any chips on them right out of the box. The paper sleeves weren't damaged in any way. And that's a lot more than I can say for the Los Cabos white and red hickories that I had reviewed before. They feel pretty good. They are a little bit thinner than the Los Cabos ones, so a little bit lighter. The really thick tips are kind of interesting. I think if you play really heavy, hard-hitting music, that you might actually really like these. If you're used to, say, Vater Los Angeles, I think you would be able to transition to these pretty well. If you play a lot lighter, then you might want to look at a different type of stick, something that has a smaller tip. So what's your go-to stick? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe.